Welcome back, folks. This is the starting point photography segment of the Your Mac Live show. Thank you guys very much for joining us here, either on the archive or live. If you're interested in these segments, I break them out and put them on the starting point photography segment of YouTube. I want that URL, either do a search for starting point photography on YouTube or send me an email and I will help you out with that. So Melissa and I, back a week ago from Lisbon, Portugal, loved it, still talking about it, still telling our friends about it. Still going over it in our minds, what we did and didn't do, what we liked, what we didn't like about Lisbon. One of the things that happens when you go on vacation, hopefully, for a lot of people, is you take a lot of photos, whether it's with a DSLR or whether it's with your iPhone. Now, if it's with your iPhone and you've got iCloud set up, you're pretty much golden because iCloud generally will upload those photos that you take on your iPhone to the cloud, where they are now backed up. They'll be on your iPhone and on your cloud if it's set up that way. The downside, though, is if you, like us, didn't get Melissa a SIM card and we didn't use our North American cell phone provider SIM card, we had Melissa turn off her cellular data on her phone so we wouldn't use up data while we were there. Her photos were not backed up. And so, as she said earlier, when you posted those photos to Instagram and then deleted them off your phone, they're gone. Now, you might be able to go back into your phone. You have your phone handy? You should get your phone.
Oh.
You might be able to go into your phone and go into deleted and see if there's still there's a section, there's an album called deleted that keeps X number of photos for a period of time after you delete them. They might still be there. So that's a possibility. But as we were saying earlier, don't delete them off your phone. If they're good enough for Instagram, keep them. Delete the crappy ones, yes, absolutely. Go through and delete all the bad photos. But if they're good enough for Instagram, keep them on your phone until you know they're backed up either on iCloud or your hard drive or some other device or service. So if you have an iPhone, you're good. Even if you don't have iCloud turned on, I don't. I use Flickr. The Flickr app automatically uploads my iPhone photos to a folder on Flickr that's set to private.
Sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Continue.
a folder on Flickr set to private that no one else can see except me of all my iPhone photos. So they're backed up to Flickr. So if you've got iCloud and Flickr, you've got two backups plus the picture on your phone so you can look at it right away kind of thing. So those are a couple options. If you are traveling with a DSLR, it's a little different. Backing up is a little harder. Generally what you do is you take your little SD card and put it in your computer either through a card reader or something else, and then take the photos off of the card. I tell my students in my photography class, do this every single night, every single photo shoot. Take the photos off of these cards because you don't know what's going to happen with this card. You could take 30 gigs of photos, beautiful sunset photos from São Jorge Castle in Lisbon, and then get home and then go out the next day and drop your camera off a boat. Someone could steal it. You could get pickpocketed. Someone could rip you off, and you'd lose that 30 gigs of photos. So I tell people every single evening, spend some time getting these photos off of these cards. But what that means is it's a bit of a pain in the butt because you've got to take a computer with you or take an iPad with you to do this. You've got to stick this little SD card somewhere. Well, the nice folks at Western Digital sent me their, it's called the My Passport Wireless Pro. It is a SSD hard drive, 1 terabyte SSD hard drive, and they come in sizes up to I think 4 terabytes. I'm going to cover up my wife's beautiful face here for a second and show you guys this. This is an interesting device because it allows you to stick a SSD card in the side of, what's wrong? The card. Stick the SSD card in the side of the little wireless hard drive, and there's a power button there, and then using the Western Digital iPhone software, take those photos off of the hard drive, off of the SSD card, and move them onto this My Passport Wireless Pro. It's a neat idea. The downside is you have to bring one more device, but at least it's smaller than an iPad, smaller than a laptop. One more power cord, although this does have batteries. You still got to bring the power cord because you don't know how much juice you're going to use. The biggest downside is the Western Digital software on the iPhone sucks so hard. It's awful. It's terrible. Terrible software. You got to kind of manage this by hand. It's supposed to be automatic, but you got to manage it by hand. It's not difficult, but the user interface of their iPhone software is just horrendous. But it's a neat idea. If you wanted to travel, not carry around a laptop. If it weren't for the classes that I had to teach, I wouldn't have brought the laptop with us to Lisbon. I would have brought this device in order to do backups from my SD cards. You can also do backups from your iPhone too. You can wirelessly tell your iPhone to send your data, your photos from the iPhone to the My Passport Pro SSD. So it's a neat little device, a little heavier than what you'd expect it to be, a little expensive, but for the space savings of not having to carry around a laptop, the safety of not having to carry around a laptop and worried about it and taking it out at every frickin' airport you go through, this might not be a bad suggestion. If you're a professional, you should definitely have something along these lines. If only because that way you get two backups. You get one on your laptop and you get one on one of these devices as well. The other neat thing about the Western Digital drive, we didn't do it when we were in Lisbon, but you can allow multiple people to back up to that drive because the drive doesn't care where your SD card comes from. So I could have backed up my photos on a Shawn and Lisbon folder. I could have also backed up Dave's MacMan's photo, MacMan and Lisbon's photos, and done that and done the backup for everybody off the one drive if we had so chosen to do that. So that's a possibility that some folks might want to take a look at. So you've taken all these photos. The next thing you want to do is when you get home, and this is important, as soon as you can when you get home, do something. Do something with the photos. There is a direct relationship between the time you get home and the time you start doing something with your photos and how likely you are to do that. So the further away you are from landing, the less likely you are to do anything with your photos, especially if you get like 1,000 photos. If you start working on some of those photos the day of, the day after you get home and just at least culling them, you're more likely to go through them and edit them through that next week. If you wait 2 or 3 weeks, a month after your vacation before you look at your photos, you're not going to do anything. I guarantee you, you're not going to do anything. You got to do it right away. You got to do it right there in the moment. So for me, what I do is I take the photos off my backups, put them on a external hard drive. So the very first thing I've got, I do, it's right here. Here is my, come on, let go. Here is my photo backup drive. It's a 2 terabyte drive. I immediately back up all my photos to this physical drive that's sitting right here next to me. I also back them up online. So I can back up to Flickr, to iCloud, to Google Photos, however you want to do your online backups. Because this physical drive is faster than online and great that it's there, but if something happens to it, then you've lost your photos. If you get a power failure, if you get a lightning strike, if God forbid, your house burns down, you've lost those photos. You want to have at least one backup off-site somewhere in the cloud. I then take those photos that I backed up and put them on my hard drive, because my hard drive is an SSD drive and is the fastest drive I've got to do my editing. I will break up my photos by day as well, too. So I'll have Monday in Lisbon, Tuesday in Lisbon, Thursday in Lisbon, so I know what day I've done these shots. I don't trust the date and time on the Finder in the Mac OS. I find it messes up all on a regular basis. So now I've got 3 versions of 4 if you include SD cards. I've got at least 3 versions of my photos. It's a bit obsessive, but having lost photos in the past, I want to be obsessive with this. I lost some beautiful photos from Paris, some beautiful photos from Washington, D.C., because I didn't have multiple backups. Then you bring the photos into whatever viewing app you'd like. You can do it right in Preview. You can do it right in the Finder if you'd like. I'll often, because I'm just me, I'll import my photos to Lightroom and then go through them in Lightroom very, very quickly and just delete the ones that aren't any good. Just bad lighting, bad framing, bad composition, bad focus, whatever it might be. So I've got, from Lisbon, I had 2,000 photos, approximately. So I immediately go through the first pass and get rid of at least half of them. At least half of them that I know I can't fix. They were bad photos. I look at the photos and go, okay, that's why that one was bad. I missed the lighting on that one, or I missed the focus point on that one. What's the reason why I messed that photo up? And then I do something that beginners don't do, but it's very, very important to do. Delete that photo. If it's a crappy photo, delete it. I promise you, as a beginner, you are not going to go back to crappy photos. You're not going to look at that photo and go, oh, maybe if I do some stuff to it, it'll be less out of focus. No. Maybe if I do some stuff to it, it'll get brighter, or I'll fix the color. No. If it's a bad photo, it's going to stay a bad photo. You might make a bad photo an okay photo, but you're not going to make a bad photo a great photo, especially as a beginner. Delete the bad ones. Lightroom has a hit X arrow. Arrow moves me to the next picture. X sets it as rejected. And then I go up into the menu of Lightroom, photo, scroll down, delete rejected photos. And Lightroom pops up and goes, would you like to remove them from Lightroom or from the disk? From the disk! These are all shitty photos. I don't want them. They're bad photos. Just get rid of them. Get them off my hard drive. Delete them. Remember, I still got backups if I need them. I've got an external backup. I've got a backup in the cloud. So I'm okay if I make a mistake on these photos. So, Monty, I'm kind of ruthless on my photos. Exactly. Be brutal on your photos. Absolutely brutal on your photos. Then I go away. And I'll come back an hour later, half a day later, and go through those photos again. And I quite often will get rid of at least another 25% of the photos. Ones that I, on the first pass, thought, it might be okay. On the second pass, I go, you know what? No, I just don't. Remember, these photos they all need work. Remember, I've always said every photo that you take needs some sort of editing done to it. So they're all going to take a certain percentage of work. I'm not getting paid for these photos, except for the ones I use for my classes. I'm getting paid indirectly. But no one hired me to take these photos. So I'm not going to work real hard on the edit of them. I want my edits to all be about 30 seconds. I'm not going to spend an hour editing a photo trying to get everything just right. I either got it right in the camera and I'm just sweetening it in Lightroom, or I'm deleting it. I'm not going to work hard. I showed this to Melissa. I get your name right. To Melissa. And on the bottom in Lightroom, Monty, if I go down the edit rabbit hole, I can be there for days. Exactly. On the bottom of Lightroom, it's got 5 stars where you can rate your photos. I never understand that. Unless it's 5 stars, delete it. Why would you rate a photo a 1 star and keep it? That never made any sense. There should be just 1 star there. There shouldn't be 5 stars. Oh, it's a 2. It's a 2 photo. I'll come back to that later. No, you won't. You won't. Delete it. Get rid of it. Be ruthless. Be brutal. MacMan said, those pics I sent you, I think I spent maybe a minute on. Exactly. That's fine. That's perfect. Do not spend a lot of time editing your photos. So I've done 2 passes now. I've got 2 copies, one in the cloud, one on an external hard drive, plus the one on my internal hard drive. I've done 2 passes of culling, just getting rid of bad photos. I'm probably down to about 1,000 photos, 50% of what I had before. Then probably the next day, this is now day 3 after I come back from vacation. The next day, I will go down and sit down and go, okay, now I'm going to set aside a couple hours to do actual editing. And that's when I start going through the photos and looking at them with a more critical eye of, is this worth it? It's a lovely picture of my wife. I love my wife. She's beautiful. But is this the best picture I have of her? No? Delete it. Here's a great shot. Is this really the shot I want of that? Maybe there's a different version of it. Delete. And I just keep doing that, going through them. And again, I'll probably get down to another third from those photos. Then I'll go back to the beginning. And now I'll start the real edits. These are all photos I really think there's something there. They're really photos that I think are worth editing, worth taking the time to edit. And I'll look at them in different ways. One of my favorite examples was this photo I took of, again, I'm going to cover my wife's beautiful face. This photo I took of Melissa. And this is one of those shots where I always tell folks, always be ready to shoot. Always have your camera in a position where you're going to be able to take the shot, because this is near the Discovery, the Monument to the Discoverers in Lisbon, and we're walking around taking pictures. I flew the drone, took some great drone shots of it, and so now I'm just walking around, just looking to see what I can see. And what I often do in places like this is just stop and then do a slow circle, just to see what I can see, what's behind me, what's around me. And I'll often walk around the object of interest as well, too. The Monument of the Discoveries is huge, huge tower on the waterfront in Lisbon. And I distinctly remember this shot. I distinctly remember looking at the water and seeing this woman, who happened to be my beautiful wife, sitting there in this pose. And I went snap and took this picture. Because I didn't want to have her look at me. I didn't want to attract attention. I didn't want to distract her from whatever she was thinking about or the mood that she was in. So I snapped the picture very, very quickly. Then when I got it in the edit, I noticed I like the picture, but I don't like the background. The cargo ship in the background is not to my liking. So what I did in the edit was simply crop it down. I took out, as I always tell people, take out what's not important to your image. If it doesn't add to your image, if it detracts from your image, then find some way to delete it, to get rid of it. In this case, the cargo ship distracted from the point of my image. I wanted the point of my image to be that person, just happened to be my wife, in the foreground. Your eyes in this picture go from Melissa to the ship, to the background, back and forth and back and forth. That's not what I wanted. I wanted the subject matter and the viewer to see just this person looking out to the water. So keep that in mind. You can have these shots that sorry, let me just do this. You can have these shots that in the moment may not be exactly what you're, come on, stop it. May not be exactly what you're looking for, but by having a critical eye to it and thinking about, okay, what's good about this shot? What's bad about this shot? Can I fix the bad? Can I accentuate the good? And that took me maybe 5 seconds to realize that's the kind of shot I wanted. Took another 5 seconds to crop it down. Maybe another 20, 25 seconds to sweeten the picture, to give it some color burst, some saturation and vibrancy and that kind of stuff. And boom, now it's a beautiful picture. I love that picture. And we were talking about this earlier. That's the kind of picture I would have taken regardless of who was there. It's the pose of the person. It just so happened to be my wife. I would have taken that picture anyway. But if it had been somebody else, and we talked about this, I don't know if I would have taken a picture of that had been a man. I think I would have. And it's not a sexist thing, because I take pictures of men on a regular basis. But I think in that particular moment, I think I was at the very least happy that it was a female, and obviously even happier that it was you. So take the time to edit your photos, but don't take too much time to edit your photos. Delete, cull ruthlessly. Do not think that you're going to go back in 6 months and fix any of these photos. You're not. They're just going to take up space. Delete them. But learn from what you've deleted. Look at your deleted photos and think, why am I deleting this? It's a bad photo. Okay, but why is it a bad photo? I missed my focus point. I missed the lighting. I missed. Whatever you didn't do right, try to make a mental note of that. Okay, next time pay attention to this, this, and this, and get that shot right the next time. I think I got those photos up on Flickr about 4 days after we got back from Lisbon. I'm still working on the video of the trip because video takes a lot longer to edit than photos do, and that'll hopefully be up by the beginning of next week, so 2 weeks away from the trip. But your photos, try to get them up inside the first week that you're back, because the longer you wait, like I said, the less likely you're going to be to go and edit those photos. The other aspect of this too, excuse me, I wanted to mention, as soon as I got those photos up in Flickr, I know those are the best of my photos. There's some photos in there I'm just using for examples, but I think there's 80 photos there. At least 40 of them are really, really good photos I really, really like. Because I'm now a Flickr Pro member, Flickr sent me a offer from this website called Chatbooks. I don't think I've ever seen the website before. Let me pull up the website for you. Chatbooks.com. And basically it's a free from Flickr, free deal. You get a chat book for $4 shipping, US $8 if you want tracking on shipping. And it's an interesting idea on a website that won't come up. Come on. So you can create your own photo books. And I love the idea, I've always said this, I love the idea of getting a physical representation of your photos. It's bigger than your iPhone. It's bigger than your iPad. It's something about the physicalness of having these photos. And whether they're in a photo book or whether you print them off and frame them on a wall or give them to people, I always encourage people to take your best shots, say your 5 most spectacular shots from your vacation, and print them off. Find a wall in your home to have that be your vacation wall or your photo wall. You don't have to frame them. I know Melissa likes having photos framed, but I'm not. I like them to have them on a nice border, and you can get them printed with a nice border. But however you do it, you thumbtack them to the wall. I don't care. Print them off. No.
I'm absolutely not plump. But you already did a book one time.
Yes, we did.
What was that book?
That book was from Photo Jojo.
It was nice.
It was very nice, and again, that was a free book. So as you know, as companies send me these things, I try them out. If you'd like chat books, if you'd like to give it a shot, and I've already ordered our chat book. It should be coming in a few days. Of our, you get 30 pages, 30 pictures. Oh. So of our best 30 shots. So I've got a referral thing. So if you want to use chat books, either if you listen to the archive, send me an email and I'll send you the chat books referral. You get $10 off your first order, and I get $10 in credit. So it's a good deal. We each get $10 off this. I posted it into the IRC chat room for those folks who want to give it a try. And the books start at $10, so you can get a free book basically. I don't know anything about these guys. I haven't actually tried their books. I don't know anything about the paper quality or anything else they got. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know yet whether or not this is something, but it's something I like the idea of basically creating your own coffee table book. You know, the idea that we're going to put it out in the living room on the coffee table for other folks to look at. And it's a physical representation of hopefully a great trip. That was one of the points of Starting Point Photography in Lisbon, was that you would go learn how to take great photos and then bring those photos back and in some way, shape, or form show them off to other people, family and friends and strangers on Facebook or on Instagram or Twitter or Flickr. But I also really, really encourage folks, always have, to print some of those off, either in a photo book way or on your wall. There is nothing like having your own art. And keep in mind, this is art. Photography is an art. You are creating art that you can put on your own walls and show
and beautiful memories
and have beautiful memories of it.
I like what Damon does, and I try to do it, but I was too impulsive. Damon will say for Iceland the second time he would been there, take beautiful photographs. He's very, very fussy about his editing.
Yes.
And then Damon never swamps Instagram or anything with photographs. He'll give you one beautiful photograph, and then you'll be like, oh, wow, I love those shots of Damon's photographs from Iceland. But then he wouldn't do another one for another month or so. He would give you another photograph of Iceland. So he didn't flood it. He does it very sporadically so that it kind of titillates you each time he does it. It's very cool.
When we were in when we were in Lisbon, I was trying to put. I've got 3 Instagram accounts. I was trying to put one picture up on each one of those accounts each day.
Yeah.
And the accounts are the Lisbon one was for, hey, we're in Lisbon. The other one was the personal account, the Shawn King account, that was just for family and friends, and those would be more silly photos. And there was the Starting Point Photography one, which was the ones that were edited and hopefully professional looking and much more, not stylish, but more representative.
Well, we could share to those. I mean, I would post to that one. And I think
that's the thing we did too. And we this is the first time. Not everyone did it, but it's something I want to do. The Starting Point Photography in Lisbon Instagram account. I open it up to all the participants, so anybody who was there could post to this. And that account is still up and running. Will continue to be up and running. We won't be posting to it anymore unless it's Lisbon shots. And the next one is Starting Point Photography in Vancouver. And we'll do the same thing. There's already a Starting Point Photography in Vancouver Instagram account. And the participants of that, basically what I told folks is, the day you start traveling, now you can start posting photos to this account. We all, I like it. I think it's kind of a neat idea.
Well, and MacMan, you said you just forgot. So put some photographs up on Starting Point, because we would like to see them.
MacMan, you still can. The account's not closed. You can keep adding Lisbon photos to it. I just don't post photos of your dog in Iowa, because that's not Lisbon. But yeah, if you've got photos you want to post from Lisbon, please go ahead. That's what it was for.
Because then it began like what Damon does a little bit. It brings up the memory again, and you kind of go, oh yeah.
MacMan said earlier, it scrolled through on the IRC account that something about he took a lot of photos. One of the things, MacMan and everyone else, is that I've learned, as hopefully I've become a better photographer, is I actually take fewer photographs, because as you become a better photographer, you know what shots you can get and what shots you can't get. You're less likely to shoot everything in the hopes of getting a good shot, and more likely to go, okay, click, done. And you'll take 1 or 2 shots and then move on. So I'm actually, this trip around, it was 10 days. I took 2,000 photos. That's 200 photos a day. That's pretty good for me. I think that's a very good low ratio for me, especially because I'm trying to document this for a business, for Melissa and I, for friends and family and that kind of stuff. So 200 photos a day is not bad. 2,200 over the whole trip. You were away for 19 days. That's pretty good. That's not bad at all. The next thing you want to do is, as you get better as a photographer and take fewer photos, you want to start taking better photos. Of the few that you take, you want to be able to get your ratio of to good higher. Right now, I think the ratio is about 10 to 100. For every 100 shots you take, you should get 10 really good shots. And out of those 10, probably 2 that are print worthy. That to me is my gold standard, is do I want to print this off? So at the end of it, if you got 2,000 photos, it's 200. You get 20 printable photos, you're doing pretty damn good.